In this Art as Business segment, we talk about figuring out your target audience. Hello, I'm Eric Wolzing, and this is Striking Steel. Well, it's January, and I'm obviously not in the workshop, which must mean I'm in the process of applying for shows. Show application is an interesting process, it truly is. But before you can even really begin, you have to know who your target audience is. For us, Oak and Anvil Works, we have been on the show circuit now for about 10 years, and we have arrived at who our target audience is through that 10 years worth of experience. And I would love to be able to sit here and tell you that there is a silver bullet that you can employ to figure out who your target audience is. But I'm afraid to say there isn't. How did we figure out our target audience? Well, honestly, through observation. Through 10 years of shows, we have observed that our target audience happens to be people between the ages of 45 and 65, primarily women. Now, how did we figure that out? Well, the art show makeup here in the Midwest tends to be primarily populated by women, maybe 2/3 to 1/3 in favor of women. So obviously that takes care of the women angle. Now, why the age range? Well, there's no hard and fast answer, but what I do think it comes down to what kind of artwork we are trying to put in front of people. So our artwork tends to be home decor sculpture. That's what we call it. It's home decor sculpture, mixed media work. It appeals to people who have a home. When you start talking about home ownership, you start talking about the disposable income necessary to populate your home with art, you're talking about people who are established, and you're going to be talking about people who are in their 40s, early 50s. On the upper bound, we have 65. Why? Well, what we've seen is that people in that age range are either starting to downsize their homes, or they're on a fixed income and so don't have a whole lot of money to spend. So that 45 to 65 age range is definitely the sweet spot. And we've also noticed that trend through our social media. Our Facebook ads have revealed that our work definitely appeals to that same age range. So as you are contemplating getting out in front of people with your artwork, definitely give some thought to who you think your target audience is going to be. If you don't have 10 years of experience behind you, how do you figure that out? That's a great question. When we first got started, I would take some of my pieces to my day job, my work, and ask my coworkers, what they thought about it. And I would begin to get some reactions that I could typify based on people's age and gender and things like that. And that was some really valuable data. Also, I've already mentioned social media, but our social media account seemed to also validate some of those same assumptions. So we were definitely looking for shows where people had between $100 and $200 worth of disposable income they were willing to part with between those age ranges. And so we would begin to select our shows based upon that criteria. Now, how did we understand who was attending what shows? Again, great question, and it's not an easy one to answer. Our solution was to start attending the shows 1 year or 2 years in advance and walking around as spectators, not artists, and get a feel for the audience that was there. And that ended up being a great tool because you could mill around, you could interact with people, you could talk to your fellow artists, see how they were doing in the show. You could kind of start to make some of those judgments based on your target audience, your demographic, and what you thought that they might be willing to part with. These are very subjective measures, of course, but they have really worked out for us. Also, when you're looking at shows, location, location, location. The old joke, right? Location, location, location. Well, it's true with art shows as well. Not all art shows are the same. When we apply for art shows, we definitely are looking for those shows in more affluent regions. Now, we do art shows all over. But we can definitely tell a difference depending on where we are. You know, if we're in an economically depressed area, we're not going to do as well as we will if we're in an area that is definitely affluent. So definitely something to keep in mind as you try to get your artwork in front of people. And now it's time for the question of the day. If you're a spectator coming to an art show, tell us what kind of art shows most draw your attention. What do you look for in a great art show? What kind of booths do you look for? What kind of quality do you look for? Now, if you're a vendor, an artist, tell us what you look for at an art show. What kind of factors do you look for that make a great show for you? Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, we would love to hear from you at any of our social media outlets available down in the description. We have our Facebook, our Instagram, and of course our Etsy store where you can find our work 24/7, 365. Thanks for watching.